Hey guys. So they're happening again. You know, we've got BlizzCon coming up soon, so now we've got all these leaks coming out. This one is called Voidstorm. On November 3rd, 2023, the 10th expansion will be announced. World of Warcraft Voidstorm. Now, one of these, there's going to be many until November. Now, there were a lot of leaks about the next expansion, the previous, which is Dragonflight, and one of them actually was right. And then we had the leaks of like the art of Alex Straza and all that, and it turned out that Dragonflight wasn't, some made up thing that, the person who did leak Dragonflight, they were right about it. That's what we got. We got Dragonflight. Um, so usually amongst all the leaks, there's at least one that's actually real, it seems. So, but World of Warcraft Voidstorm. Um, so before we get, so they say Queen Ajara, because I'm looking right there and it says Queen Ajara. Um, she disappeared in what? Battle for Azeroth. We go to Nyalotha. We liberate her from her confinements there. And she's like, okay, well, I'm off to go travel the cosmos and search for the real throne of power and see you guys later. So we haven't seen or heard really from Ajara since Battle for Azeroth. Um, but given the fact the Void is very prominent throughout Dragonflight, we know that's what Iridikron is kind of going after. He wants to basically summon the Void to Azeroth in order to get the Titans to show up. And I said in the video where I was watching the new patch cinematic, um I said that if the Titans do come, you're going to get a lot of people in the mix. Um and some of them might join forces with us just for out of their own self-interest, like Queen Ajara. So if the Titans do come back, obviously they have Illidan with them now. Sargeras, I think Sargeras is going to have some kind of redemption, which I really hope. He really is an awesome character. And if people like Arthas and Illidan have gotten a redemption, Sargeras should be able to get a redemption. He wasn't doing things out of malice. He was trying to destroy Azeroth because he knows what would happen should Azeroth be taken over. So, but the Titans would come. They've got Sargeras back with them, who's the strongest of the Titans. He was their champion. They've got Illidan, who's no doubt picked up some kind of Titan-esque ability or something from being the jailer of Sargeras. Ajara might show up and side with us because she wants to conquer Azeroth. She doesn't want anything touching it, not even, you know, she wants to rule it as she sees fit. So, but anyway, adventurers will travel to the South Seas, and we've been hearing South Seas for so freaking long. Like every time there's a new expansion, it's the South Seas. Um, Seeking a way to stop Queen Ajara's Voidstorm. In the midst of the storm, Iridikron flies with the fury of Galakrond. Wherever he goes, darkness follows. The planet is being sundered, slowly ripped apart by the immense forces assaulting it. Meanwhile, the world soul of Azeroth stirs from a terrible nightmare. The Harbinger is on the cusp of waking her up in the form of a terrifying manifestation of shadow, ending all life in the process. The world shaman Thrall will return to defend Azeroth from destruction. Fighting alongside the Earthen Ring, he will lead the champions of Azeroth into the elemental planes before finally they will enter the core of the world to root out its corruption. So we're getting Cataclysm 2.0. That's what it sounds like. I mean, just the planet being sundered, slowly ripped apart, the earthen ring, thrall, elemental planes. I mean, this is basically Cataclysm 2.0. This is the last expansion before Azeroth is revamped and before we explore the other side of the world. And that's another thing. So we've got the planet, right? And on one side, we see, you know, Kalimdor, Eastern Kingdoms, Northrend, Pandaria, and all the stuff in between. But then on the other side of the planet, there's something. Probably a super continent, given the fact that that other side didn't have some kind of well of eternity to explode. The well of eternity wasn't a real natural thing. That was the well of eternity was formed when Amun-Thul reached, and just ripped Yasharaj out of the planet. That the well of eternity was just the wound that was left behind when, like, Amun-Thul, the Titan, who we saw how big they are with Sargeras when he stabbed Azeroth. So yes, Amun-Thul reached down onto the planet and ripped Yasharaj out of the planet. So, and as he was ripped out, because that darkness and the tendrils of the void were so deep in the planet, it left this big gaping wound, and that the well of eternity is like the lifeblood of Azeroth. And then things started to settle around it. They evolved, they became the dark trolls, and from the dark trolls they evolved and become night elves and this and that. And then we have the Legion invasion and the War of the Ancients and this, and obviously I could talk forever about the freaking lore, but yeah, the other side of the planet doesn't have that, as far as we know. So it's possible that on the other side of the planet we have a supercontinent still, like we had before it was, the Sunwell was destroyed, or not the Sunwell, the Well of Eternity, because everything was all one landmass, and then separated. Some sunk to the bottom of the ocean, others, you see what we got. We got Kalimdor, Eastern Kingdom, stuff like that. But on the other side, it might be islands, it might be a supercontinent. We don't know. We just know that according to Odin and the other Titan keepers, they send Titan watchers over there, and other forces over there to just, scout things out, and they never return. So there is something over there. Now I know I forgot the pirate's name, but there was I think it was a night elf pirate or a captain or whatever, and he sailed over there and he disappeared. But then he came back, and he's like, "I'm not gonna tell you what's over there but I will tell you that the treasures you can find over there are beyond anything you can imagine that we have right now. There are things over there you would not believe." So if we do get over there, this captain might be the perfect way, because he's been over there before and he returned. So who better to get us over there than him? But I think people for the longest time have wanted to see this other side of Azeroth. And some of these aren't even like the Undermined Telebim. Those are all on our side where we are now. So I don't. Well, then again, it does say before we explore the other side. So these are still the zones in Voidstorm, or form a large archipelago, or as some people say, archipelago. It's archipelago, not archipelago. Archipelago southeast of Kalimdor. Due to large distances between the larger islands, you will have to travel seamlessly between zones by ship. There are no loading screens, and you will sometimes catch some interesting sights as you travel. The updated version of dragon riding will work on the islands, but it will come with limitations that make flying more challenging and a lot riskier until you've explored all of it. Seems kind of weird already, especially with the loading zones. when you have smaller areas like the zone, regular zones where you can kind of cover things with cliff sides and stuff like that to kind of the draw distance, that's one thing. Uh, Even when you're in the air, you have certain things. I mean, they could. Yeah, there we go. Night Squall. Captain Night Squall. That's the name. Um, that was the name. That's the name. Uh, but the Undermine, a large subterranean zone accessed by sailing to Kazan. Kazan is the island with the goblins from Cataclysm. I didn't like that place at all. It's just too dank and dark and rusty looking, and it just wasn't nice to look at. This is the southernmost island. The goblins who run this place have sought the aid of those who'd like to make a hefty sum and risk their lives in the process. Telebim, Banana Island, a tropical island filled with the sandy beaches and lush jungles. You'll find it in the south. While it looks idyllic, this island hides dark secrets within, and bananas. Of course, we have the Telebim of bananas. That's where they come from. They're from there. They're um, shipped out and all, exported. So there must be some kind of settlement, obviously, that send out ships with Telebim bananas. Hiji, the the stronghold of the Bloodcell Buccaneers, sometimes referred to as Plunder Isle, located in the eastern part of the archipelago. I was about to say archipelago, just because it's in my head. Lately, pirates from all over Azeroth have been gathering here at the request of one Night Squall. He's the one who traveled across, to the around the planet to the other side and actually returned. This was one a picturesque paradise, famous for its snow-capped mountains, tranquil koi fish ponds, and beautifully arranged gardens. Now it's a freebooter's paradise. But some say you can still catch a glimpse of a mermaid in the surf at dusk, if you watch closely. Unnamed underwater zone. The remnants of a group of islands destroyed by the Cataclysm. Formerly the home of the Darkspear tribe, now they appear more like sharp cliffs jutting out of the sea. The zone itself is mostly below water, descending from the surface all the way to the bottom. It is now home to the Naga. Partially submerged, you will find the Lost Titan facility of Oldaz in this location. I don't know. No. I don't think so. Karesh, the broken remnants of the world once inhabited by those we call the Ethereals. This zone will become accessible in a later patch. So this sounds like it would be like the Argus type patch, where we go to a completely different planet. It's broken in this, so you can have like 3 different zones not connected to each other, where you have to use like a teleportation or whatever. But Karesh, a Void Lord, kind of appeared and just destroyed their planet. So now it's broken and unnamed islands. There are a lot of smaller islands to be found at sea. There are sometimes these are sometimes procedurally generated and are part of end game gameplay system. I don't know. Main gameplay features: dragon riding returns, but your mouse will work both in the air and underwater. No, that sounds stupid. You'll have to unlock it. Why? So they trying to say that like you can take your dragon mounts and like use them underwater, or your horse mounts, and suddenly they can that sounds stupid. That sounds stupid. Water mounts are for water. Flying mounts are for flying. You have your ground mounts that can double as flying, or you have a ground mount that can, like your turtle mount. But to say a dragon run, the mounts will work in both in air and water. Obviously there would have to be specific special kinds, ones that are designed specifically for that. So because it would be stupid to redo all the mounts. Explore as many islands as you want with your own ship and earn loot. So you climb aboard a ship, you go to your little mission table, and you send your crew out to get the loot for you. Got it. So it's like garrison missions and legion missions. Okay. Boy, that sounds fun. 2 new playable races, an underwater species at launch. I don't know its name. Of course you don't. And ethereals, which people have wanted forever. And every single expansion that comes out, there's a leak saying, oh, ethereals. Once we reach Karesh, both are neutral. Most content becomes count-wide. No new classes or specializations. But now that most classes have been made available to all playable races, there will be lots of new glyphs that allow you to alter the appearance of many of your spells. This looks great. One of them turns your paladin abilities from gold to silver. No new classes. When was the last time we had a new class? What, Legion? So we kind of are overdue for a new class. But I'm surprised this doesn't mention anything about bards or necromancers or tinkers and like they always do. But it's probably the first leak, so we'll benefit of the doubt here. Don't want to do the cliched, oh, we're gonna get tinkers and necromancers and dark rangers. Let's see. The campaign with Thrall will keep you busy for the entire expansion and take you across the world. It's not just a collection of quests, it's an experience. But a really good story with impactful cutscenes and cinematics, unique rewards, and superb voice acting from Chris Metzen. Now, I wouldn't mind Chris Metzen being more like he apparently is returning. So the story hopefully will be getting better because when it comes to World of Warcraft, Chris Metzen is World of Warcraft. So I would love to see stories made by him. But you will meet the elemental lords, dragons, wild gods, and some ancient creatures you've never heard of. By the end of it, you will come to see Azeroth in a whole new light. See you in November. No. I mean, it's basically just South Seas. So we hear this every single time. Every time an expansion is about to be announced, you always get the South Seas expansion leak. So I would say with a grain of salt, but I would say take this with a whole bag. Because like clockwork, every single time, the only thing different here is we've got a Jara and a Ridicron in the mix. But it's always, oh, there's a South Seas expansion, and and all these Undermine, all them, they're always mentioned. That's why I mentioned about the Tinker and all that, because that's the same thing. It's like they're always in like the same leak. And obviously we know it's fake, but they're fun to read, to kind of, maybe some of these things would be interesting to see. But I now obviously until BlizzCon, there's going to be a lot of these. There's going to be a lot of these, and I'll try to cover as many as possible. If you guys see them, by all means, let me know. Because I love looking at leaks. But yeah. So the first one, World of Warcraft Voidstorm. Basically, just sounds like Cataclysm 2.0, but then again, we also had Burning Crusade 2.0 in the form of Legion. So, uh, but yeah. Let me know what you think. What do you hope that the next expansion is? Um, anyway, you guys know the drill. I'll see you guys later. Bye, guys.